So CD Projekt Red issued what is basically an apology, and they essentially confirmed what everyone was speculating when the game released. In short, the devs didn't want the game to be released, but the higher ups forced it out anyway. And overall, the video is too little too late. It shouldn't take 1 month to come up with a 5-minute video, so without further delay, I'll let the video play.
Hey everyone, my name is Marcin Iwiński and I'm the co-founder of CD Projekt. When I started CD Projekt 25 years ago, one of its founding principles was honest and direct communication with gamers.
Well, that certainly didn't age well.
When CD Projekt Red, the game development part of CD Projekt, was born, it added something important to that principle, the ambition to make the best games in the world. It became our mission and something that guided us up until now.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think CD Projekt Red has ever accomplished this principle of theirs. Even The Witcher 3 was a buggy mess on consoles at launch, and Cyberpunk 2077 was, as we all know, even worse on consoles.
Based on that legacy of genuine and honest communication, you've trusted us and pre-ordered our game. And despite good reviews on PC, the console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet. I and the entire leadership team are deeply sorry for this, and this video is me publicly owning up to that. Please don't fault any of our teams for what happened. They all are incredibly talented and hardworking. Myself and the board are the final decision makers, and it was our call to release the game.
Don't get it twisted, the only reason they are apologizing / fixing the game is because their stock has dropped significantly, and because they could be fined 10% of the game's revenue by the Polish government if they do not fix Cyberpunk 2077. One thing I can applaud them for doing is saying not to harass the devs, since it was the higher ups who forced it out and not them.
Although, believe me, we never ever intended for anything like this to happen.
That seems highly unlikely considering the fact they used the same gameplay captured from a PC in every platform trailer for Cyberpunk 2077, which is not exactly common practice. CD Projekt Red more than likely did intend to mislead customers but didn't expect such a huge backlash, and their video would be so much better if they just straight up admitted to it instead of trying to sliver their way out of trouble for falsely advertising Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles.
Now I'd like to tell you how the situation looked like from the inside. Cyberpunk 2077 is huge in scope, and I'm not only talking about quests or things you see at first glance. I'm talking about a multitude of custom objects, interacting systems and mechanics. In the game, everything is not stretched out over flat terrain where we can make things less taxing hardware-wise, but condensed in one big city and in a relatively loading-free environment.
Oh my god, no way. That's almost like most open world games on the market in 2020. And from here on out in the video, he begins to make excuses for the release of Cyberpunk 2077, which, let's be honest, there's absolutely no excuses for. The game was in development for 8+ years and was originally meant for last gen consoles, so there is no reason as to why the game can't run well on the PS4 and Xbox One.
On its own, this is a challenge, but we made it even more difficult for ourselves by wanting to make the game look epic on PCs and then adjusting it to consoles, especially old gens.
I've got to agree with him here. They should have learned from The Witcher 3's console port and decided to outsource their game for PlayStation and Xbox just like they did with the Stadia version, which is the second best version available right now. It's very clear they have absolutely no idea what they're doing with console hardware and should 100% outsource that instead of trying to do everything in-house, which they clearly aren't capable of.
And things did not look super difficult at first. We knew the hardware gap, yes, but ultimately, I think that time has proven that we've underestimated the task.
No shit, Sherlock.
To give you a concrete example, and the main culprit, we had to constantly improve our in-game streaming system for all gen consoles. Streaming is responsible for feeding the engine with what you see on screen, as well as the game mechanics. And since the city is so packed and the disk bandwidth of all gens is what it is, it constantly challenged us.
Okay, and just delay the last gen versions and release the PC Stadia and Xbox Series X versions, then you can focus more on optimizing the last gen ports. And all of this would have been so easily avoided if you just did that. This doesn't excuse shit, and there is no point in you mentioning this in the video.
Every change and improvement needed to be tested, and as it turned out, our testing did not show a big part of the issues you experienced while playing the game.
How is that even possible? How do you test a game with so many bugs and not experience any? That to me sounds impossible. There is absolutely no way they didn't find most of the bugs people have been encountering, considering how common they are and considering how many there are. The likelihood of this is just way too low for me to believe them.
Now let's talk about the review process. We started sending our PC review keys in the first days of December. On launch day, December 10th, we hit the ground running with a really good start on PC. While not perfect, it's a version of Cyberpunk we are very proud of. At the same time, we're fighting for quality on all-gen consoles till the very last moment. And every extra day of us working on the Day Zero update brought visible improvement. This is why we started sending console review keys on the 8th of December, which was later than we originally planned.
I do love how he hasn't mentioned the fact that even when reviewers had the console versions, they were only allowed to show PC gameplay in their reviews thanks to an embargo CD Projekt Red themselves had put on the game. And either way, they should have just delayed the last gen ports further and most of this wouldn't be an issue anymore.
This all happened while working from home with all the challenges resulting from the COVID-related restrictions. A lot of the dynamics we normally take for granted got lost over video calls or email. And we took that hit too.
What things are lost over video calls? Developers are still working on computers and can develop as they normally would. Unless I'm missing something, I don't really see how working from home can disrupt much when it comes to game development. And it just comes off as a lazy excuse for rushing out an unfinished product.
Now I'd like to tell you about our plans for the future and present a path for Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles and PC. We have already released 3 hotfixes improving the game, but that's just the beginning. Our ultimate goal is to fix the bugs and crashes gamers are experiencing across platforms. Please expect bigger and smaller patches on a regular basis. The first update will be dropping within 10 days, and it will be followed by another, more significant one in the following weeks. We will of course continue to work on the game in future updates and improvements beyond that.
So in short, the game should have been delayed by another 3 months at the bare minimum.
Our big plans for supporting Cyberpunk in the long term did not change. As for the free DLCs, our initial plan was to deliver them just after the release, much like we did with The Witcher 3. We decided to focus on the most important fixes and updates first, and we'll be releasing the DLCs afterwards.
At least they're doing something right here, and hopefully these fixes do make the game playable on the base PS4 and Xbox One, because behind all of the bugs and performance issues, there is a genuinely decent game here.
For those of you playing on next-gen consoles in back compatibility, you can still expect the free next-gen update for Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5 arriving in 2021. We are aiming at the second half of the year.
Jesus Christ, so in reality the game pretty much won't be fully released for next-gen consoles until Q4 of this year. That is beyond ridiculous, and just further goes to show that the game should have been delayed by a few months at the very least, and maybe even by a year.
I'd like to end this video by assuring you that we treat this entire situation very seriously and are working hard to make it right. The guiding principles of our company are still core to what we do. We still want to make amazing games and have an open communication with you, our players. For now, our immediate focus is to work hard on making sure you enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 regardless of platform.
So yeah, as I said earlier, they basically confirmed what everyone was speculating about when it came to why it was rushed out in the state it was, and unsurprisingly, it was the higher-ups. I really don't understand why anyone would ever go after developers, considering the fact that if you have just a little bit of basic understanding on how businesses operate, you'll know the devs don't have any control over any aspect of this. And it's got to be destroying this man that all of this could have been so easily avoided, and now it will be extremely difficult for CD Projekt Red to ever get the trust of players back. So with all of that said, I am getting a brand new PC soon, so if I don't upload for a while, that will be why. And with all of that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. Please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka like, comment, as well as subscribe, so that I will see you all in the next video.